a typical year, I speak about the three pillars which make up the music program at St. David's: worship, evangelism, and outreach. Worshipful musical highlights include a recital and evensong series, the Festival of Nine Lessons and Carols, the services of the Triduum and Easter, the annual Labor Day hymn sing, and the involvement of volunteers and children in liturgical music making. Evangelism focuses on the 16 events offered in the concert series, including the annual Baltimore Bach Marathon and performances by our ensemble in residence, the Sundays in Song video series, which I produce and curate along with our YouTube and SoundCloud channels, and numerous broadcasts on WBJC and other media outlets. Outreach includes our commitments to elder care in the form of choral performances at the Fairhaven and Charlestown retirement communities, education in partnership with Benjamin Franklin High School at Masonville Cove, and empowerment with the continuation of Voices Rise, a Baltimore Choir of Hope. As always, I want to thank the musicians, staff, vestry, clergy, and parishioners of St. David's for supporting these programs. During the extraordinary circumstances of the pandemic, many aspects of these pillars changed, with worship and concert presented in online formats. The best way to summarize the changes is to briefly review the timeline of this past year and how the music program adjusted. From January to May of 2021, all musical offerings remained virtual. I continued to process between 15 and 30 gigabytes of audio and visual files each week, editing together fresh recordings as well as past audio to create our pre-recorded virtual offerings. As spoken, in-person services began again, I also edited organ recordings for use as voluntaries during these liturgies. Our concert series also remained virtual, with 3 evensongs, a concert featuring our 2019-2021 Ensemble in Residence third practice, our Music for Good Friday concert featuring music by our 2019-2021 composer in residence Natalie Draper, and the 45th annual Baltimore Bach Marathon. For reference, our 2019-2021 composer and ensemble in residence continued through the 2020-21 season due to COVID. Typically, these are one-year appointments. Our largest virtual choir undertaking was a performance of Thomas Tallis's 40-part motet Spem in Alium, offered at our last virtual evensong of the 2020-2021 season in May, and involving almost 100 singers. It is impossible to adequately express my gratitude to the singers of the St. David's Choir who faithfully recorded multiple pieces every week for over a year. Our worship experience would truly have been poorer without it. I would also like to thank the leadership of St. David's for recognizing that music has an important place even in virtual worship, and ensuring that the musicians of the parish remained employed safely during this portion of the pandemic. Additionally, a special thank you to the Flower and Altar Guild, who throughout the pandemic made sure that the setting for our worship space remained beautiful and immaculate, as is evidenced by the many transitional photos which received Ken Burns-esque treatment in the 99 virtual liturgies and concerts produced from March 2020 to August 2021. During the summer, we entered a liminal time when live music began to be offered again on Sunday mornings, comprising of myself at the piano and organ, and a vocal soloist singing during the offertory and at communion. In June, July, and August, I continued to pre-record and edit virtual liturgies as well for online viewing. During the early weeks of the summer, the choir rejoined to sing for several recording sessions, vaccinated and, in a pre-Delta and pre-Omicron environment, blissfully unmasked. This gave us a time to say farewell to Ben Hawker and Carrie Holohan, 7-year members of the choir who were accepted into the National Cathedral Choir and St. John's Lafayette Square Choir, respectively. It also gave us time to sing with our new choir members, Julia McCabe and Derek Miller. In light of the Delta variant, a number of protocols for singing needed to be implemented to ensure the safety of the choir and congregation, shaping the look and feel for our services for September through December. These included distancing and masking for the choir and adjustments to the liturgy, for instance, the shortening of hymns. Thanks to these protocols, the choir has experienced only one COVID exposure with no confirmed spread. One note about these protocols as to how they might impact you. As we go forward, I want to make clear that the music series will continue to require mask wearing and vaccination cards at the door until further notice. Concerts for January and February 2022 have been rescheduled, so this will apply beginning with our March 1st Friday concert and the 46th annual Baltimore Bach Marathon. I want to extend a word of thanks to our ushers who have helped to enact these policies. Amidst this, we were still able to offer robust, meaningful liturgies and powerful concerts and evensongs, presented in a live format with live stream for those unable to attend in person. These included our annual Evensong for Indigenous Peoples Day, which featured a representative from the Baltimore American Indian Center, and music by our 2021-2022 composer in residence, Josh Armenta. It even garnered attention from WBFF Fox 45 and was included in the evening news on the eve of City of Baltimore's first observance of Indigenous Peoples Day. Other highlights included the Peak Collective's live presentation of The Legend of Mal Dyer, our Evensong for Veterans Day, and our Festival of 9 Lessons and Carols, as well as the final service with the Reverend Scott Bellows, for which I composed a new work, O God of the Moon, and the choir was joined by several singers from previous seasons. Even in the midst of virtual and hybrid environments, then, the music program's commitment to worship and evangelism has remained strong. I am sorry to report, however, that the impact of the pandemic has meant that our 3 primary forms of outreach, performing at retirement communities, interfacing with Benjamin Franklin High School, and making music with the guests at Paul's Place, has not been possible due to the risk factors involved. These activities will likely not resume until later in 2022. In the midst of this, I am reminded that our online offerings themselves were a form of outreach in this time of crisis, affording the opportunity for musicians to receive remuneration for their activities, as well as to feed us spiritually and artistically. Still, I look forward to resuming the music program's partnerships with Charlestown Retirement Community, Fairhaven, Benjamin Franklin High School, and Paul's Place when it is safe to do so. In closing, I want to specifically name an overarching theme of the music program, one which I have long committed to, but has been mentioned only as a subtext amidst the pillars of the program, and this is a commitment to justice. This can be seen in a number of our programs, for instance, our evensongs, particularly those for Indigenous Peoples Day, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Frederick Douglass, as well as Voices Rise when it resumes. Since the resumption of live services, I have ensured that every service in the program year has at least one featured work by a canon expansive composer included in it, that is, composers who are women, LGBTQIA+ individuals, and/or Black and Indigenous people of color. As a reminder, when I arrived at St. David's, the music library had only 5 compositions which were not composed by white men. The music series has continued to offer a platform to premiere, commission, record, and lift up composers and musicians who expand the canon and offer us powerful and meaningful music for worship. Looking ahead, I am confident in the flexibility and resilience of our congregation and our musicians. Even amid the fatigue of entering a 3rd year of the pandemic, I know that we will continue to make music together. It is an enlivening force which bolsters our spirits in worship and in our lives in the wider world. Thank you for continuing to sing.